Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jeff Ascough, and in this video we're going to be discussing whether colour is actually harder to shoot on the street than black and white. I'm going to be looking at camera straps and how they can affect your technique and how you shoot on the street, and I've also got a fantastic book recommendation for you. Now, before we get started, I just want to let you know that we have two new zines which we've just added to our online bookstore. This one, called Showfield, features Sarah's ongoing project about the agricultural shows of the North. It has images from 2017 when she first started the project, right the way through to 2024. Now, earlier work from this project has been published in LFI magazine, and it can also be seen in the Martin Parr Foundation Library. And this one features my 21mm street photography from across the UK, and it includes some of my favourite ever street photographs. Now, I'll leave a link to both of these in the description below. Now, if you've had a YouTube channel for any length of time, you will have undoubtedly come across the anonymous camera fondlers who like to throw stones at you from behind the safety of their keyboards. We get them regularly. We get them far too regularly. I must be doing something wrong or something right even to attract these people. But sometimes something comes up in a comment which gives an interesting, if slightly strange, view of a certain subject. For example, if we take this guy here, if we leave the patronizing tone to one side, we can see that he's talking about colour being harder when it comes to creating an emotional response within a photograph, and that the content of a colour image needs to have more impact as a result. What he's missing is that photography, for me, has always been a form of artistic expression. It's a way of interpreting the world through a still photograph, and how you interpret that world comes down to a lot of things. It's based on your upbringing, your physicality, your age, your experience, where you live, your emotional state when you're taking photographs, things like your visual literacy, things like your technical ability. All of these things come together when you press the shutter. Now, we're very much individuals when it comes to this. As I've said before on this channel, I can go out with Sarah on the street. We could go down the same street. We can have the same camera, virtually the same lens, and get completely different photographs because we are different people and we don't interpret the world in the same way. Now, the medium that we choose is part of that self-expression. Colour isn't better than black and white white isn't better than colour. It's never been a competition for us. They are just different mediums, and they require completely different mindsets and approaches to get the best out of them. Any emotional impact in a photograph comes from the photographer and the subject. It doesn't come from the medium which the photographer is actually using. Now, as photographers, what we should really be doing is finding out which medium suits our artistic vision. Do we want to see in colour, or do we want to see in black and white? It's only when you're completely comfortable with how you want to show the world what you see through a camera that you're able to express yourself, and you can concentrate totally on interpreting what's in front of your lens. Last month, Sarah went to a cat show, and she'd never been to a cat show before, and she went with her normal lens, 28mm. She went with a normal camera like a Monochrome, and she went with no expectations at all. No ideas in her head what she was going to shoot. She's just going to turn up, see what was happening there, and if there were any interesting images to be had, if there was any interesting situations, she would be able to take them. Not once did she think to herself, you know what, I really ought to try a little more colour here, because it's harder to get the same emotional response than it is in Monochrome. Now, serious photographers don't think like this. You know, serious photographers are only concerned about the photograph, and how you get the photograph is largely irrelevant. It's all about the photograph. Okay, it's not about the medium. It's not about giving yourself challenges or stretching yourself or anything like that. It's all about getting the photograph. So if you're on Instagram or YouTube, if somebody's trying to put you down or discourage you from doing what you're doing and trying to encourage you to do what they're doing, just take it as a sign that you are taking better photographs than they are. You know, they're just jealous, and, you know, they ultimately have issues. A bit like this guy who also has to flex in his comments about his very expensive lenses. I'll leave this one for you to read, and let me know in the comments what you think of this one. Now, recently somebody asked me how I managed to get so many straight photographs when I'm shooting from the hip. You know, a lot of people struggle with keeping the horizon level. They struggle with, you know, the camera being tilted too much and all that kind of stuff. It's down to the camera strap. You know, if you wear a camera strap around your neck, okay, and it's a reasonable height on your body, the camera will self-level because the strap's able to glide across your clothes. Now, what this means is that if you put it around your neck, inevitably, every time you touch the camera, that camera is going to be in a fairly horizontal, fairly straight position. So if you're coming up to a group of people, if I'm coming up to a group of people, camera goes around my neck. The camera is allowed to just settle down, and as I walk through, I just press the shutter knowing that my camera is going to be reasonably level. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. For the longest time, I've always wanted a leather camera strap for my Leicas. You know, I'm ashamed to say this because I took the mickey out of one of my mates for years over his constant obsession with buying leather camera straps for his Leica cameras. I said it was vanity and he had more money than sense. And here I am, wanting to have a leather camera strap for my cameras. Now, I actually have a Leica leather strap and it's a fantastic strap. It's just too short. For some reason, Leica believe that all Leica photographers like to wear their cameras on their chests, and I don't. I like to wear mine a lot lower. So instead of buying a couple of Leica camera straps, I went with Oberwerth because my Oberwerth camera bag, which I've had for the last 10 months, that bag has held up fantastically well. It still looks like new. It's beautifully made. It's been absolutely everywhere with me. And it's been attacked by my Doberman on more than one occasion while we've been out. So it was an obvious choice to go to Oberwerth and get some straps from them. Now, obviously, craftsmanship and leather and aside and all the rest of it. What I like about the Oberwerth is they come in 3 different sizes, and I've gone for the medium size. And I'm 5'6", nearly 5'7", and the camera sits just above my waist, which is perfect for me for the way that I actually shoot. The other thing I like about the Oberwerth straps is they have a metal wire going through them, okay, which is really good for security. It's something, again, the Leica straps don't have. So overall, the Oberwerth's been really good. The straps have been really, really nice. And obviously, I'll leave a link to all of the straps I'm talking about now in the description below. Now, a lot of people I know use wrist straps. Now, I've never gone with wrist straps. I always find them really awkward to use. You know, if you've got a camera on your wrist and you want to get something out of your pocket, what do you do? You know, where do you go? You want to get to your camera bag and get something out of your camera bag, and your camera's on your wrist. What do you do? And I've always found it, for me, to be far too limiting. It just causes more problems than it actually solves. But everybody's different. But that's just me. And, that's why I've never really gotten with wrist straps. Now, Sarah's totally different. She wears a camera on one shoulder, and if she's shooting with 2 cameras, she'll wear a camera on the other shoulder. So she uses up straps, which I believe are no longer available in the UK. I think you can only get these in America. But fortunately, when the guy that founded Upstrap was starting out, he gave us a dozen up straps, and we're slowly making our way through these straps. Well, Sarah's slowly making her way through these straps. Now, she likes the up strap because it's got the dimpled shoulder pad, which absolutely sticks like glue, and she can be walking around with the dog and the dog pulling her around all over the place, and that camera will not move. And that's very important to her. So her requirements for a strap are completely different to mine. I make no apologies whatsoever for featuring yet another Harry Gruyaert book on this channel. Harry should stop being, as far as I'm concerned, the world's greatest colour photographer, and then I wouldn't be able to recommend his books, and we can put somebody else in this particular section. This one is his latest. This is called Homeland. It was published last year. And what's unique about this book is it includes a lot of his early black and white work from the 1970s. So Homeland is basically a body of work that he took in his native country of Belgium. And essentially, it's this book reimagined. Okay, this is called Made in Belgium. This was an all-colour book, and it was released in 2000. It's very hard to come by. I think my version is in Spanish, okay, because that's the only version I could get at reasonable money. Homeland is a much better book. There are more photographs in Homeland. There are a lot of recent photographs in Homeland, which were taken long after the publication of Made in Belgium. And of course, there are the monochrome images. The print quality in this book is superior to Made in Belgium. And that's really, really important when it comes to colour work. But as ever with Gruyaert, it's his eye for colour. The way he seems to be able to take the most mundane of subjects and bring them to life with colour is just remarkable. And this is the first book I've seen of his that actually has the two different approaches to the two different mediums. There's a more documentary approach to the black and white work, and there's a more artistic approach to the colour work. Now, as a European, these images are closer to home than a lot of Gruyaert's work in, say, India or Morocco, and that's what makes it really fascinating to look at. You know, for me, it's a genius book, an absolutely genius book. Even if you already have Made in Belgium like I have, it's still worth getting this book for the newer images and also to see the monochrome images. And again, like everything else that I've spoken about today, I'll leave a link to this in the description below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, we'd love to see you subscribe to the channel. If you have any comments at all on anything that we've been looking at in this video, let me know. Let me know which is your favorite camera strap. You know, what's on your camera at the moment. Let me know what you think of the Gruyaert book if you have got Homeland or Made in Belgium. Until the next time, take care and I'll see you soon.